Greetings, everybody. Coming to you from my 2012 Mercedes-Benz S350 Bluetec diesel. So, wanted to give an update. There's a couple things going on with it right now. One is a maintenance thing, and the other, I'm not actually sure what the heck is going on with it. It happened once before, and I will demonstrate here. So the first one is the check additive message. Now I've done videos about that on my GLK. So basically when your DEF fluid gets low, it gives you that message. What I found in my GLK is I was able to go like an additional 1,000 miles before I started getting the countdown to death warning. Different cars handle that different ways. Mercedes-Benz gives you X number of starts. I think on my GLK it was like 16 or something like that. I'm not actually sure how old the fluid is in here. It's at least a year old. I filled it last year. So I want to run it out to keep as fresh fluid as possible in it. I think DEF lasts safely a couple years, but I like to try to go through the tank in a single year, if possible. I think that's like, I don't even remember if I wrote down the last time I filled it up. I think we're looking at 10,000-ish miles. So this time I'm going to write it down, so the next time it runs out, I'll know how many miles I can go. So filling these, they say that, oh, you need a special adapter or special bottles or blah blah blah. You really don't. You can just use one of the bottles you can buy at like Advanced Auto Parts, and just stretch the hose out, stick it in the fill hole, and off you go. The only catch is you kind of have to keep an eye on how much you're putting in there so it doesn't overflow. So I think on my GLK it might be a 7.4 gallon tank. So on this one, I'm not sure. I don't remember. So the other thing that's going on with this, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of a test here once I get up to this intersection here, assuming nobody's trying to come the other way. I'll actually just stop. These roads don't have a whole lot of traffic on them, so you can kind of get away with stopping in the middle of the road for the most part. I mean, you got all your people on their way to work and whatever, because it's a weekday. All right, so up here, a little bit shy of the intersection, I'm gonna stop. So this is the second time this has happened. So I've got somebody coming. I don't want them. Oh, it's yelling at me for being close to the branches. Okay, so sunroof is not doing anything. So what I'm gonna do, let me try opening, closing the door. Does that help? Okay, let me try shutting off the car. Park it right on. Open, close, restart, put into gear. Oh, that time it didn't work. So the last time that happened, I thought it was because I had started the car with a weird starting sequence, like with the door open or something like that, and walked away from the car. And then for like several weeks after that, it worked fine. So now it's not working at all. So I think there's an electrical thing going on with it, preventing it from working. Do a little bit of an acceleration here. Up a hill here. I'm gonna turn the heater way down because I had the heater cranked up because I was planning on opening the sunroof. I wonder if getting out of the car, locking it, and getting back into it might help. I don't know, but I think there's it's either a switch starting to go bad or some electrical gremlin. I love using the sunroof. I use it all the time, so I may add that to the list. The other thing that's going on with it is I haven't gotten underneath it to check and see if I can figure out where it's coming from. I may actually try to do that today. Is it has sprung another oil leak, so not surprising. You know, diesel engines, especially this OM 642 engine, they do tend to spring leaks here and there. So I want to say it was at 101,000. I had the oil cooler replaced. So that was the second time that repair was done. I talk more about that in some of my other videos. That, I believe, is holding up, but you know, if it's not, if that is still the problem, that's one real big plus from having done that at the Mercedes-Benz dealer, because I don't know exactly how long it is. I mean, absolute worst case, you get a year and 12,000 miles. It may be longer than that. I think some repairs are unlimited miles. But you know, the trick then would be to diagnosing where the oil leak is coming from, and my bet right now is that it's coming from the oil filter housing gasket, and that's yet another 10-hour job, I think. So it's definitely not going to be cheap if that's the issue. Yeah, I noticed a couple drops under the car. So it's just a matter of me trying to get under there and poke around a little bit and see what I can see. Oil leaks are, in general, really hard to pinpoint. So, you know, it's anybody's guess whether I can figure it out. But I'm sure the dealer can figure it out. So there's that. So yeah, the sunroof switch and the oil leak. And the Mercedes dealer that I use kind of changed their policy on loaner cars. They used to give out loaner cars for any repair, and then I think they changed it to like cars only of a certain age or newer. It's pretty new. It was like 2016, maybe 8 years old, something like that. Maybe it's 2017 by now, but I think since I've been having a lot of work done on my cars in the past couple of years, I think they kind of grandfathered me back into the loaner car program, which actually I like a lot because it's always fun driving a new one. The last one I had was a new body C-Class, and yeah, it was pretty cool. The one drawback about loaner cars is you've got a lot of people driving them and they all wear perfume, so the seat belts start smelling like a perfume factory, and then that gets on your shirt and whatever. So not a huge fan of that aspect of it. My dealership also offers delivery and pickup service. I think it's like $25, and for me, I'm like an hour away from the dealership, maybe even a little bit more. So that's quite a bargain And sometimes I do take them up on that. But then again, the drawback of that is the driver could also be a perfume wearer. And yeah, I have this cleaning solution that mostly gets rid of that smell. It's an enzyme solution. I don't like chemicals at all. It's called Folex. It's supposed to be for carpet stains, but I use it on everything. And generally speaking, it works pretty well. I don't think it's quite the miracle that they say on the bottle, but yeah, it does a good job. So I've like filled up a bucket with hot water, and then I would spray the seat belt down with the Folex and use a nail brush to kind of scrub it, and then rinse it out in the bucket. That's how I got rid of 98% of the smell of the perfume in this car that I'm driving now. Is the previous owner was a perfume wearer, and so I've had this car about 1 year and 3 months now, and it's finally starting to just smell like an old Benz. You know, those kinds of smells linger for a long time. And you know, it's just nice getting in. This is starting to smell like I had an 86 300 SDL, and the leather just started developing a really nice, pleasant old leather smell. This car is getting that same smell, which I think is cool, that a more modern Benz is apparently using a lot of the same type of materials, so that as the cars age, they start to get that old car smell that is very pleasant. One of the ones that's particularly pleasant is like an old Rolls Royce that's been properly maintained. They really have a nice smell over time. So anyway, those are the updates. For the most part, I mean, this car's been pretty uneventful for a while. The last time I had it in, well, I had it in at about 106,000, getting new tires and an alignment. But the last issue that needed repair was that other oil leak at 101. So I'm probably going to wait until an oil change is due, just in case they need to drop the oil to fix whatever it is. If it's the oil filter housing, they probably don't need to drop the oil, but if it's something like a rear main, I think they will. I'm not actually sure. Or an oil pan gasket or whatever. Yeah, I'll try to get under there and figure out what the heck is going on. And stuff like that doesn't bother me. I had one commenter comment about how he'll never buy, well, I was talking about my GLK 250, but it applies to all modern diesels, and he'd never buy one because his Volkswagen went 200,000 miles. His TDI went 200,000 miles without ever having any issues. And I replied to the comment but never heard back. My reply was, I'm guessing your TDI is 2006 or earlier, because all modern diesels are going to have something go wrong with them. So if you're looking for a car that's not going to have problems, do not get a modern Mercedes-Benz diesel, like one with emissions equipment on it. They all have their quirks. I mean, they're very good cars, generally speaking, but you will have to repair stuff. So yeah, so I don't think that person would have been at all happy with a GLK 250 or whatever they were looking at. So, you know, and in that sense, I'm glad my video helped them to come to that conclusion. because I don't sugarcoat anything in my videos. If something's going wrong with the car, I'll talk about it. And this goes with just owning and driving and reporting on my ownership experience, as well as if I'm selling a car and doing a walk around video. I would like to always buy a car from someone like me, who takes care of the cars, knows the issues, and discloses them. So many people have cars for sale that I'll go look at, and some of them are misrepresenting, but I think for the most part, most people are not car people. I went to go look at this, let me clear that message. I went to go look at this, I want to say it was an 85, maybe it was an 83. Yeah, it was an 83, 300D. I've been wanting to try to find, another older Benz diesel, and they were asking $11,400 for it, and it had 125,000 miles on it, and I believe he said his mother was the original owner. And so over the phone he was telling me, oh yeah, it was well maintained, and we just had this and that done, and blah blah blah. So I get there, I look it over, and you could not tell this in the pictures. The paint was very faded. I believe it was a non-metallic blue color. Nothing that couldn't be brought out, I didn't think, but it had obviously not had a wax job for many years. There was only a tiny bit of surface rust that I could see, like starting on the bottom of the doors and by the jacking points, but nothing major. Just a good treatment with a rust converter would solve that issue. And so then I really started looking at the details. So when I opened the trunk, there was a hugely strong smell of diesel. So that could be anything from a cracked fuel tank to a leaky seal on the fuel tank, or maybe just as simple as the rubber lines going to the fuel tank. It was wet out. I didn't really get under there. And then the dash was cracked, wood trim was missing, the car was kind of dirty. And it was kind of weird. They had somebody replace some of the brakes. So they replaced both rear calipers and one front caliper. And the weird things are, the brake fluid was still dark brown even after that, so they didn't bother to flush the fluid out. I don't think they touched the original rubber brake hoses, and they did not replace one of the calipers. So when I was driving it and braking, it pulled really hard to the right, so there was still something off with the braking system. The mechanic did not do a very good job, and it also shifted very harshly. I mean, it shifted okay, but it shifted a little too soon and very harshly. And just a bunch of little things. I actually did make an offer on it, which was slightly more than half of what they were asking, but he did not appear interested in that. And my favorite question to ask a seller is, will you keep it if you don't get the money you want for it? And a lot of them just say, oh yeah, I'll keep it if I don't get the money I want for it. And some do. I actually had one, this goes back a few years, where they were asking $4,000. This was my second Mercedes that I ever bought, a W123 300D 1979. had all kinds of stuff wrong with it, but still ran and drove fine. It was pretty rusty, and he was asking $4,000 for it. Again, this goes way back. Well, I think the car was maybe only 13 or 15 years old at the time, and I offered $1,500, and he basically was getting ready to tell me to go take a hike. I said, that's fine, let me know if anything changes. So it was weeks later, if not months later, I got a random phone call, and it was like, hey, are you still interested in the Mercedes? I'm like, which one are you talking about? It's like the blue one. And I said, well, yeah. And he said, will you do $2,000? I said, no, but I'll still do $1,500. And he said, come get it. So that ended up becoming my first daily driver Mercedes that I drove for 3 years. That thing always needed something, and it left me stranded multiple times. It was such a cool car, though. I really enjoyed it. And I may have talked about that in some of my other videos, but I kind of got on the whole topic of people asking too much for their cars. But you know, on the other side of that, once in a while I will actually see somebody who has a car listed for sale and it's way underpriced, and usually those are gone within 10 minutes of being listed. You literally have to be the first person to call on a car like that. I've seen a couple that would have been amazing deals, but I wasn't the first caller. One was like, one really actually sticks out in my brain. In the past year, somebody was listing, it might have been like grandma's car or whatever. It was a 98 or 99 Civic EX sedan, I think, with a manual transmission. And so it's saying right lane closed. I know it was open there for a while. Anyway, 16,000 original miles on it. He was only asking $7,000 for it. And even though I may have actually been the first caller, he had apparently had it listed somewhere else, or had a friend that was trying to knock him down on the price. I mean, that's a ridiculously cheap price for a car like that. Those have become highly collectible, especially low miles and manual transmissions like that. But then apparently the person who came and looked at it before, he told him, well, you know, I got somebody else that's interested. Oh, well, I'll give you what you want for it then. So that one was gone. Probably before it was even listed, it was gone. But you know, it is what it is. I have actually gotten some deals on cars. In fact, the last S350 that I had, the 2008, I got that for $6,000, something like that. 6,500. I don't, maybe he didn't negotiate, but he had priced it at 6,500. Even when I was there, he said he probably had it priced too low. It needed some stuff. The worst of it I took care of. One of the seals in the transmission was leaking, and I had that repaired. And then even after I had everything fixed, I still did okay when I sold it. I've kind of gotten out of attempting to flip cars because more recently it hasn't worked out in my favor. I mean, I would think I'm getting a hell of a deal on a car and then go to sell it and lose money on it. I think, you know, in some ways the markets have softened. they went so crazy during 21 and 22, and that now they're kind of swinging crazy in the opposite direction. I mean, so many cars on the auction sites these days are reserve not met. So nobody's paying what people want for their cars anymore. And it's always interesting to see the no reserve cars. A lot of them go really cheap. And well, I ran into that on one of the auction sites multiple times, where a car just went way lower than I thought it would go. But anyway, have a great day, everyone.